Today, folks, we're going to be diving down into my over $368,000 dividend stock portfolio, producing $8,800 in annual dividends. That is the equivalent to over $700 a month in passive income that is almost 100% tax-free. We're going to be diving down into my corporate trading account. We're going to be taking a look at my TFSA, my RRSP, those tax-sheltered accounts, and then we're going to even be reviewing my regular brokerage account, and generally how I feel about them going into 2022. If this is something that interests you in the complete transparency of what I offer for absolutely nothing, just consider hitting that like button, subscribing for that future updates. If you think you're getting value out of this, I would highly appreciate it. So first and foremost, before we dive down into those accounts, folks, let's take a look at the broader markets because it has been wickedly volatile to kick the year off here. I mean, just take a look at crypto. We're logging into my StockTwits account where you guys can actually take a look at my watch list, and Bitcoin is down to about 41,000, just kind of hovering in this range. Basically, after the Fed meeting came out and they're going to start sucking all that money up that they've been throwing into the economy, we're probably going to see interest rates go up very shortly, less bond purchases, things of that nature. Now, I am not going to be buying more Bitcoin here. My wallet today is worth about $8,000. However, I am going to continue using ShakePay to make that free Bitcoin, and hopefully that promotion continues. I'm going to leave the link in the description below if you guys want to make free Bitcoin, but we're not going to go any farther in that today. I've made videos in the past, but take a look at the broader markets today. I mean, VOO, the broader markets all finishing in the red, but once we get into those individual stocks, man, the volatility really shows itself. Apple, Microsoft showing a little bit of green, but obviously Tesla trading way down after the volatile week it's had. Google trading a lot lower than I would have expected it to be, considering it's a very hot topic of a stock. Same with Facebook's being really stuck in this range, my favorite metaverse company right now. And I really love the Oculus, the Quest 2. I feel like there's only two kinds of people when it comes to the metaverse. People think it's either really early days and they've never used this stuff and they're like, oh, it's going to get better. And the people that are actually using this stuff and their minds are completely blown and they just want to throw all their money into it. And I'm definitely on the side of just take my money, just shut up and take it. Let's talk in 5 or 10 years. All right. But take a look, because all that money that's pulling out of these companies has been flooding into the safety and security of consumer discretionary and banks, the financial sector, because obviously when interest rates go up, banks get to collect more money. And obviously when there's a lot of fear in tech being overvalued, people want to go to those more secure, kind of not nearly as expensive things like your J&J, your Pepsi, those very stabilized companies that offer much less volatility. So take a look. We got Pepsi hitting roughly all-time highs here. Johnson & Johnson doing very well. The banks hitting all-time highs. They kind of fluctuate between each day, which one's hitting all-time highs. Love my Canadian banks right now. Talked about REITs the other day here, folks. They're kind of been a little volatile between them. But just taking a look, my utilities actually not doing as well this year. I think they pulled back a little bit, even though we're seeing some green today. But where the real money is getting made, obviously, is anybody that picked up some of those Forex companies. China's kind of working themselves out here. Charlie Munger dumped a lot of money in. We've talked about that this week. So Alibaba, guys, if you bought at the beginning of the year, you're probably doing pretty handsomely on that stock. And considering we're all in kind of another semi-lockdown period in this pandemic, I'm really happy to finally see Clorox getting some traction, because damn, this has been like the cleaning, the cleaner of the cleaning when it comes to the pandemic, right? So I'm really surprised that it kind of sold off, flatlined, and hasn't done anything really since. It's still kind of stuck on a trend, but we are seeing some light at the end of the tunnel for that guy. And all of your small caps, still a scary place, still waiting for a turnaround here, guys. Your ARK ETFs, your SPACs, you're just about anything that is a small cap company. So putting all of my watch list aside here, which has been, like I said, very volatile to start the year, let's get into these accounts. Starting it off with my corporation. This account I started in last May. It is currently up 15% since May. And I want to reiterate the fact that you actually have to outperform inflation before you make a return on these stocks. This 15% return is not accurate, guys. The government said that there's been a 6% inflation rate for 2021. I am arguing that it's closer to 10 to 15%, my personal opinion here. So before you even start making money or a return, you have to minus out what the government thinks the general inflation rate is. So minus 6%, I probably had it closer to a 9% return in this account since May. Now let's talk about the total here, sitting at about $82,000, of which $20,000 was contributed. So keep that in mind. And I'm going to be sitting with my corporate accountant, luckily on Monday, who's going to be breaking down the tax implications of trading within this account and just the general tax implications on my corporation, which I am brand new to. So So if it's something that interests you, you want to learn more, let me know in that comment section, and I will make a lot of videos in the next few weeks about how we actually utilize this account to get the max tax advantages, because you only pay a 13% corporate rate on the first $500,000 earned. And then if you throw it in these corporate investment accounts, you're kind of deferring capital from your own personal liability in your own personal tax brackets, which are typically a lot higher than 13%. But take a look. We got Algonquin Power in here, guys. I wish instead of buying this one so aggressively, I really just put it in Royal Bank, because I'm up 12% in less than like a month since I bought Royal Bank. Granite Real Estate Investment Trust doing very well still. I mean, it's holding up nicely. So giving me a return here on the Canadian side of just null between Algonquin and Royal Bank. Nothing going on there. In my REITs, I'm up 7%. So not the best return from the Canadian side of the account, not including the dividends, so we'd probably be up a little more. But then on the US side of the account, we're seeing a 20.42% return, largely coming from Tesla, which I'm very happy with. I know it's volatile, but they always never cease to impress me. I mean, they just launched a massive battery installation for the grid in Texas. I might do a video on it. Like literally enough battery packs to charge up 150,000 homes to offer some stability to the grid, since they went through that wicked winter storm that knocked out hydro down there last year. But take a look, guys. We got Facebook doing great in here. We got Google doing absolutely great. I mean, Facebook, I got to remind myself to take a breath and not keep buying that stock. I still think it's way too underrated where it currently stands as an S&P top 10 company. But that is the corporate account. Let's talk about the TFSA. Now, with these accounts, I'm going to show you the dividend income that they produce, because unfortunately with the corporate RBC account, they do not show me projected dividends. But within this TFSA, my tax-free savings account that I contributed to in January, is up to $172,000 as of today, which is mind-blowing to me. A lot of capital gains in here. I mean, take a look at these Canadian positions. And I want to pass a question off to you guys. When I look at this account, I honestly feel slightly under-diversified, and I've been trying to think about how I would go about diversifying it. The problem I have is my yields on these companies from my initial purchase point is so cheap. I'd just rather use that yield to start purchasing new positions, but I want to know what you think, because obviously when we move into the US side of my positions, these are very concentrated. I mean, Apple and Microsoft have seen unbelievable gains in this account, and it would seem appropriate to maybe take a little bit off the table with a lot of the fears around Apple and where Microsoft might be going, because many people are calling for a contraction in these stocks, or at least a slowdown until earnings start proving capabilities, because a lot of people think, you know, Apple's not going to do as well as they did in the last 2 years. But so far, anytime anybody's told me that Apple would be a poor investment, they have been proven wrong. For the last 6 or 7 years, I've been in this stock. So I'm not sure where I sit with it, but just take a look at the broader perspective, because at least we got some broader exposure with Vanguard. However, I would like to increase this Facebook position a little bit, just to get, because I really believe in it, guys. But we'll be cautious, and we'll remain on the methodical side as I pass that question off to you. What do you guys think? If you were in my position, 170K TFSA, how would you be diversifying this? I would love to hear about that in that comment section. So let's talk about the income on this account, because this is my largest tax-free income producing account, with $2,593 coming from the Canadian side. And like I said, those purchasing prices on these companies, beautiful. 5% on all the banks, except for TD, you know, Northland Power over 5%. Really great stuff, even though those utilities have been slightly generally underperforming for the last year. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know if I sell it a little bit, diversify it, who knows. Look at that. Even Apple, guys, I've said this before, Apple is paying me over 5% on my initial investment, and now I feel bad for selling it. But in general, guys, I'm making $1,711 on this account. So let's talk about the RRSP. I just learned about this account. I mean, I've been holding it since 2019, but I'm always learning, and I feel like an idiot because I've realized that there are no penalties on withdrawals. I thought this was an account strictly for retirement, but I've come to realize the difference between the TFSA and the RRSP. Between these two accounts, when you're contributing money into each of them, with the TFSA, you're paying tax up front. Once it's contributed, it makes tax-free capital gains and dividends in perpetuity forever. Whereas with the RRSP, you're deferring tax, so you make money. You're not going to pay tax on that money up front. You put it in this account to make tax-free cap gains and dividends in perpetuity until you withdraw it, thus the reason of a deferred tax on that income, and then you only pay your marginal rate on whatever you pull out. Even though there's an upfront withholding tax, that just gets contributed as part of the tax paid. They just take a bit of it up front. So this has led me to reconsider, guys, how I'm utilizing my managed account, because I have to pay tax on all these dividends. I have to pay tax on all of these cap gains if I decided to sell them. So I'm reconsidering, once I kind of talk to the accountant, I figure out what my income taxes are going to look like. I have over $10,000 in a contribution room for that RSP. So I'm thinking about, if it comes down to that wire, I will be selling a couple of these off to just move them over and defer these cap gains to a way later date. And then that way they can perpetuate dividend income, and I won't have to be paying any tax on any of this stuff that gets deposited into my account. But let's talk about the dividends in my RRSP real quick. I'm making $927 and I would like to reiterate the reason that I bought J&J and Pepsi in here. What most people do not know is that in a TFSA on my US holdings, I typically have to pay withholding tax, which is about 15% on those dividends. It's the only tax you will pay. But within the RRSP, you do not pay any withholding tax on those foreign investments. It does get it gets deducted for some reason, which I find awesome, like absolutely incredible. So you can buy lower yielding companies and know that you're not going to be losing another like 15% of that 3% yield. So I've really focused on those safety and security stocks that we mentioned, like J&J, Pepsi, and VOO, right? So again, 927 in US income. Keep in mind, I'd have to convert this to CAD if I were to pull it out into my regular account. But then again, I do have a US account, so I could keep it in US dollars. But let's talk about the income on this managed account, which by the way has $50,000 in it. And I should also point out that the RSP has $50,000 in it. These two accounts are fairly equated to each other, which have had excellent performance since I've been utilizing them. But let's talk about the income on that managed account, because I also make a huge amount here, guys, $1,788 in annual dividends. Now, combine that in general, and again, look at these dividends. Sorry, I just want to point that out. 5% across the board. Like my yield on cost, guys, phenomenal on these accounts. This is what happens when you invest and you start early. So you know what they say about growing a tree, guys. The 30 years ago was the best time to plant that tree, but you know the next best time to plant it is today. So I'm just trying to show this to give you those insights. This is not bragging. This is not me trying to be arrogant. It is just something that I've worked very hard on, and this is kind of the reward that you can get from doing so and being diligent. But anyways, combining all that together equates to about $8,800 in annual dividends here, folks. And I've been even going out of my way recently to continue to expand my line of credits, my margin accounts, which I've never had before. The paperwork to open up a corporate margin account is nuts. This is stuff that I may plan on never utilizing, but having options to it and continuing to build my credit is probably a good thing. Not that I ever recommend people utilize debt. Unless you've built up some savings here, guys, don't do what stupid people tell you and to build a credit score, because a credit score doesn't mean anything if you do not have income. It's so weird to me how they think that's how you get ahead in life. No, you get ahead by making more money, putting in these tax shelters accounts, and continuing to perpetuate tax-free income to the point where you can afford real estate without having to be broke and, you know, putting the minimum down payments. And there's a lot of utilizations these accounts can bring in. So anyways, I want to pass that question off to you at this point, guys. I hope you appreciate these insights for 2022. I'm going to be doing a brand new spreadsheet, which if you own our current spreadsheet, you'll be getting the updates to, but I'll talk more about that once those things are finished. Stay cool, stay awesome, and I look forward to catching you in the next one.